The United Nations is considered by many people as being weak, ineffective, or useless. But what if I told you that this assumption or this judgment is mostly tied into people believing that the United Nations was designed to do what people expect them to do? But you see, this assumption, this premise is completely wrong. In order for you to judge the failures or the successes of the United Nations, you need to know exactly how the United Nations was built. What exactly are their limits and their capabilities? And this series will seek to try and explain the structure of the United Nations. I'm Jay Chronic. This is Decoded HQ. Now, you see, the UN operates under a binding document called the UN Charter. The UN Charter was established after World War II, with the primary mandate of that charter was to make sure that another global catastrophe was not to happen again. Now, please take note of this. This was basically an attempt to make sure that there was survival, not moral perfection. This is where we start to see somewhat of confusion between what people think the UN should do and what the UN can actually do. The United Nations Charter was not established to create a perfect system of justice. It was made to prevent another world war. And from the United Nations Charter, from the foundation of the Charter, it then established the six organs of the United Nations, own with their own specific roles and their specific limitations. First, we've got the General Assembly. In this particular organ, member states have the ability to speak, vote, and debate on matters. However, nothing can be enforced in this organ. Secondly, we've got the Security Council, where a select few member states, 15 members to be exact, can debate and they can enforce matters regarding military intervention or sanctions on nations. There's a particular caveat within this particular council that only 5 permanent members within this council must be in agreement with the decision before it can be passed. Thirdly, we've got ECOSOC, the Economic Social Council, which has the mandate of making sure that there's long-term economic, social, and developmental stability. However, again, there is no enforcement power that this particular organ has. Fourthly, we've got the Trusteeship Council, which is involved in making sure that colonial territories transition into self-governance. But the last time that it was very prominent was in 1994 when the lost territory Palau gained its independence. Fifthly, we've got the International Court of Justice, which is involved in making sure that it's the judicial organ of the United Nations, and its mandate is giving legal opinions or legal judgments to nations, but they cannot enforce any of those legal judgments or opinions. And lastly, we've got the Secretariat, which is involved in carrying out the day-to-day operations of the United Nations. When you judge the United Nations on its ability to carry out justice, you can feel as if it's ineffective. However, when you look at it from the perspective of it trying to maintain stability, it starts to make sense. We're going to be looking at the General Assembly in the next video. We're going to be looking at each organ video by video in this series. I hope to see you there soon. This is Decoded HQ.